Thank you very much for allowing me to come and tell about probably one of the oldest companies in Denmark. I don't know of anyone older. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we have been through a journey with a company and revitalizing a brand 237 years old. Whenever we talk about our brand, we are comparing us to other brands in many, many ways. And I looked at another known brand as Nike. And as far as I can see from the research I've done, the first time the Nike, so-called Nike wing was shown on a pair of trainers or shoes was in 1972. There's no doubt that there's a lot of Americans who would like to be proud of that. And they show us the Coca-Cola logo as well. And they say since 1935 we've been doing Coca-Cola and we've had the same logo since 1972, sorry, for Nike. I'm very proud of representing a company who's had the same logo for 237 years. And by the way, when I talk to Americans, I normally remind them that the US as a nation is 235 years old. So our company is 2 years older than the US. And I promise you, that is selling some porcelain in the US, just this story. And another thing that gives me goosebumps is when you look at our backstamp on all our porcelain, we have used the backstamp you see here. And throughout the history, we have used the 3 waves. The 3 waves represent 2 belts separating the main island of Denmark with 2 other islands, and Denmark and Sweden. So that has been with us since 1775. And that's something of a heritage to carry on. The other... We normally base, or when we talk about our brand, we talk about a brand based on a lot of pillars, but our heritage is the most important and the most precious in our brand. And the main pillars in our heritage is the following. We are in Denmark, and a lot of Danish companies can use the crown to tell or to signalize that they are selling goods to the royal court, royal family. But we are the only company in Denmark who can actually use this crown in our logo as an integrated part of our logo. And of course we do so. It means a lot when we do business that we are that close to the royal family and the royal history, especially when we do business in Asia. We are founded by a queen back in 1775. And we have been relatively close to the royal family ever since. And if you look up one of the pictures up here, or photos up here, you'll see the second last picture is our current queen. And the slightly enlarged picture is our current crown princess that might visit us or visit the exhibition in the following days. I'm also showing you this picture because I want to show that as well as the royal family has followed the history and been more modern and more contemporary, we have done the same as a brand, and we have tried to do the same as a brand. And I hope you'll see that later on. The other thing that is very important for us is that we are a part of the Danish design heritage. Some would say Danish Scandinavian. For me, it doesn't matter. But we have an anchor in the Danish history of design. We have a lot of designers who's been working for Royal Copenhagen, as well as furniture companies as well. We have the famous Finn Juhl, who's created a lot of furniture, among other things. He's also created a dinnerware set for us, and so on and so forth. So we have a history rooted in the Danish design tradition as well. And then we are handcrafted. We are probably one of the only companies left in the world who is doing hand-painted porcelain. About 65% of all the porcelain we sell is hand-painted. We also do white dinnerware, we also do printed, but the majority is hand-painted and will be, and we have seen and will still be in the future, and we've seen a growth in that within the last couple of years. We have moved our factory to Thailand. We did that. We started that 6-7 years ago, and we have actually experienced the great benefit of producing in Thailand / in Asia. And we've seen that the craftsmanship and the quality that we have had in Denmark for more than 230 years is actually maintained, if not improved, by producing in Thailand. So, 4 years ago, our company, at that point in time, was 233, 34 years old, and we were nearly going bankrupt. And of course, as you might understand, going bankrupt is always something you want to avoid. You also definitely want to avoid it when you're 230 years old, because there's kind of, it's not an option to go bankrupt. So when I joined the company was in a very difficult situation. And of course, when you are in a different situation, you try to look at everything. And in the company, we started to analyze all possible corners of what we could do to survive. Because one thing that we didn't want to do as a management team was to be the last management team in the history of the company. There's a lot of things I want to be famous of in Denmark, or famous for, but being the one who closed down a company, I wouldn't be able to face myself going to the Queen and say, Queenie, we missed it. That was not an option. So we started to look, and of course when you tell the story like this, it always sounds like we just had an afternoon, then we analyzed everything, and then we went out and turned it around. Of course that's not the case. When I have to tell a story like this, it always becomes a little bit more glamorous in hindsight, and things looks much easier than it actually were. But at least we started to analyze a lot of things. We started to look at a lot of things. We did probably also a lot of mistakes, but we hit a couple of good ideas here and there. In our company, when you talk about dinnerware, we basically have two parameters when we look at design. We can change the shape, or we can change the pattern. That's about what we can do. Plates has been existing for many, many years. And I would say the limitation we have is that plates has been defined, the fact that you eat from dinnerware has been defined rather fast after we were born, or mankind was defined. And if you look at this image here, already at that point in time, a couple of thousand years ago, people were eating at round plates. So for us, working with the shape in our industry is rather gives quite a lot of limitations when it comes to design. Or put in another way, a plate is a plate is a plate, or you can have them square, you can have them round, but there is certainly some limitation to how much you can work on design. And when it comes to pattern, which is the other dimension, we have a pattern 237 years ago, 37 years old, and there is a limitation how much you can do to that also, in terms of this is our DNA, this is where we come from, this is the pattern that we've had for so many years. Who wants really to change that dramatically? So, in all our wisdom, we went away pretty fast from redesigning our products as a way to save the company. Again, pattern is relatively fixed and given, or is given, and shapes cannot be changed that much. So we had to look somewhere else. Some of the things that we've been successful with before I joined the company and before my current team joined the company was actually to take this pattern and develop it into other sub-patterns. But the DNA, the mother of all patterns, is the one Blue Fluted plain in the middle. If you take the one up that is your upper right hand corner, that is our Blue Fluted Mega, which is by far the most successful dinnerware set we've ever had. And that is an enlargement of the one in the middle, the Blue Fluted plain. But we also have in the lower right corner, we have a pattern developed for the Asian market, which is very successful. But everything originates from the Blue Fluted plain. So what we did, one of the things we did, was to look at the patterns and look at the way we could organize our dinnerware sets on platforms. And here you see one platform, the fluted platform. Here you see another one, you can't tell the difference nearly, elements and laced. But basically it's a white plate, and it's an architecture we have created to make it easier for the consumer to understand what we are all about. So if you start from the left side, your left side, you'll see all white plates. But when we go across on the fluted platform, you'll see variations on the same shape with different patterns on. This allows the consumer to buy into a universe on a dinnerware concept. So as a consumer, you can buy into the fluted platform, and you can start white. And of course, the white is cheaper. So when you move away from home and you start to study, you can buy some white plates. When you get a job in the Hong Kong Finance Center and you get a little bit more money, you can buy some of the painted dinnerware set, and you can put them on the top of each other, and you can mix and match. So this is a way to build your dinnerware for the rest of your life. And as you know, also, you change taste during your life. Normally, some people do. And this allows you also to change your taste or to adapt to other occasions or other periods in your life. So this was the first thing we did. We organized our dinnerware set on different platforms. And within the platform, we started to communicate to the consumer. It's actually allowed to mix and match. I will come much more back to that later on. Then we focused on some learnings that we picked up due to both research and just listening to consumers in general. And this is kind of very basic and very logical. You need to bring your assortment in line with how you want to be seen by the consumer, or how the consumer is looking at you or seeing you. That's one thing. The other thing that we know for sure is that a barrier for the consumer buying our porcelain, because we are 5, 6, 7 times cheaper than some of our cheap competitors. A barrier for buying into our porcelain and collecting porcelain is that when you pay a premium, you're also running a risk because it might break. And what we know for sure is that this learning is the escape opportunity that the husband always use when you go shopping. Because the normal pattern is the wife, or the female part, is shopping around and finding out what she wants. And on the final day that the decision is going to be made, she pulls her husband into a shop and she says, "This is what I've been looking at." And he's like, "Jesus, that's very, very expensive." And after coming up with 10 million excuses for not buying, or to convince her not to buy, the final one he brings up, because we men, we're sometimes cowards, and we like to spend our money differently. Fast cars, slow horses, and so on and so forth. The last excuse you pull up is, why buy it? Because it breaks very easily. So that's one obstacle that we had to get around as well. Another one was, in our history, we've had so many dinnerware sets and dinnerware concepts, and we've been designing a lot of beautiful concepts that never sold, but they were launched. So when people started to buy into them, after some years, we had to discontinue because of slow or low performance on these concepts. That was another issue we had. And then the last issue that we were trying to overcome was actually the fact, and this is very dangerous in the world of brands, but we believed that we became too much of luxury. And by being too much luxury, we went away from the consumers that actually found it very, very hard to buy premium porcelain for everyday use. So what we have done instead is that we have designed ourselves as everyday luxury. We've probably taken a click down of on the luxury ladder, but we've done that on purpose. We've done that because we want to be a part of everyday householding, and not just something you put in the shelf and only use maybe on Sundays. So this was the last thing we worked on. This was to overcome our first issue, namely our assortment. This was our assortment in 2009. As you can see, you will see you can see porcelain animals. You will see candle lights. You will see cats and dogs and what do I know. And to be fair, we didn't even bring all of it up there. And this is where we took our assortment. We were basically saying we are a dinnerware company. Of course, we have cups and saucers and other elements in our assortment, but basically we went away from being a company, as you can see, in everything that could be made in porcelain. And if you try to focus on one of the plates up there, and when I click, it stayed in the assortment. So that's where we made our money, and that is where we make our money, and that's where the consumer that we believe in the future and who believes in us actually see us as a brand. So that's our assortment today. So we have said, as a statement in the company, we want to own the table. The other thing was this breaking, and the fact that, you know, if you buy into our porcelain, you might run a big risk because the plates that you buy for, say, $100 US dollars might break, and they might break, and it happens. The fact is, it doesn't happen that often, but it's a fear factor at least, or a good excuse for the husband. So how do you do that? What we did was to overcome this, because it's more a psychological barrier, or as I said before, an extremely bad excuse. We invented something called Breakage Guarantee. And this basically means that if you break your plates, for whatever reason, if you come home late one evening and your wife wants to break a plate in the head of you, that's an okay reason for us. If your child is doing something stupid in the dishwasher and the plates, cups and saucers, whatever, a royal porcelain breaks, okay for us. The only thing you have to do is bring the receipt and bring the parts, and we'll replace it, free of charge. When we talked to our finance department about that, of course they could put up all kinds of scenarios of people going into Greek weddings. You know what they do, you know. And good thing to know, by the way, is that we do not sell our products in Greece, and nor do we do really in Italy. But this works so brilliantly for us because it's actually what all other luxury brands are doing. I mean, if you come in with a Louis Vuitton bag and something is wrong with the zipper or the handle, they will fix it. We just replace it. In 2011, we sold 750,000 pieces of porcelain with breakage guarantee. We got 628 back. It's a huge success for us. It's a huge, and it cost us absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Then we had to look at our assortment, because we have to be very, very sharp when we define a new assortment or a new concept, and we need to do a lot of research, because you cannot introduce a new range and then 3 years later take it off the market. A good example is the mug we have in the middle. Brilliant design, iconic. All designers in Denmark love it. I don't think that any designer can drink a cup of coffee without having that Ola cup in their hand. Only problem is, very expensive to do, nearly impossible to produce, and not a lot other than designers actually like it. So we had to take not necessarily that cup out, but all the other service item or items servicing that dinnerware concept. So great design, fantastic idea, very iconic, probably in all the design museums in the world, didn't sell a lot, to put it in a very, very diplomatic way. So what are we doing? We are trying instead to say that compared to the old days where everything had to be the same dinnerware, so it all had to be Blue Fluted plain or Blue Fluted mega or Blue Fluted whatever when you were preparing a table. Now we allow the consumer to go much more relaxed. This is, by the way, our crown princess relaxing. And I'll come back to that mix and match idea in a minute. What we also did in our communication was, instead of showing images like the two you see up here, where a plate on this Flora Danica, by the way, the table is set in the Royal Palace in Copenhagen, and not a lot of people can actually have a party there. But we at least wanted to tell the consumer who we were by preparing such a high-end luxury setting like that, where a plate in itself is about $3,000 US. That is, for me, far away from where the consumer is. So, and again, the other set under the tree, the big terrine in the middle is probably about $50,000 US. This is a way. If we continued this way, we would have alienated ourselves to the consumer, and we would not have survived. I'm not saying it isn't a beautiful dinnerware set, because it is, and it's the most prestigious in the world, but it's not the way we could survive, and in the segment we are in, it's not the way forward. Instead, we started to do marketing, as you can see up there, coming from a very indirect way on your left side, very indirect way of communicating porcelain. We went into very direct communication, where we basically showed the products, and we put the price on as well. And some of my friends from Lego told me when they saw this, I mean, the image is fantastic, but never put the price on. That's the worst thing you can do for a brand. We have survived, and we have survived in a good way even. I think it's a fair thing for the consumer also to tell them what the product costs. So this is the images we are showing instead of showing Flora Danica at the Royal Palace in Copenhagen. We are showing everyday situations in an everyday family, or more every day, because I can tell you that I'm not having my breakfast this way every morning, but I do sometimes, and I at least think that it's possible to do it if I take the time to do it. And you probably also could dream yourself into this. It is not far from the daily life we live or would like or could live. And that's why we have taken the brand a little bit down compared to where it was positioned. This is the way we say breakage guarantee. We want to show the breakage guarantee as such, but we also want to show us in a dishwasher. All our products can go in a dishwasher. We want to show that our product is used on an everyday basis. And therefore, you can use it, and should it break, then we replace it. And then the mix and match, which I think is extremely important for us also, to say that if you are within a platform, if you are within a concept, you can mix and match the products as you want. We know, and I think it was said a while ago also in the morning, we don't want to dictate, we want to inspire. We know from our research that the worst thing you can say to a female, because it's normally females buying our concepts or buying our products, the worst thing you can say to a female is, this is the way you should do it. The best thing you can say is, this is some ideas, this is a list of options, please get inspired. And if some of the males doesn't know, it's a good trick when you come home. Do not tell what your wife is supposed to do. Inspire her, motivate her. Much better trick. A much better trick. And again, this is the way we say everyday luxury. This is not, again, not far away from the life we live in Scandinavia, in Denmark. And by the way, it's not far away from the life, our second biggest market is Japan. It's not far away from the life that the Japanese actually would like to live as well. So it's aspirational for both Japanese customers, Asian customers, and Danish customers. It is within reach. So 3.5 years ago, we were, as a company, nearly going down and going bankrupt. And now we are in a situation where we have started to communicate more directly to the consumers. We have organized our products in something that makes sense to the consumer. We have structured our offering, and we have focused the company. We were in the past on 30 markets. Now we are on 9. We had 3,500 SKUs, our different products. Now we have 750. We had in Denmark 600 customers representing 100 million Danish kroner in turnover. Now we have 400, and we have 99 million Danish kroner left. So we lost 1 million Danish kroner by cutting 200 customers. That means that we have a much, much more focused company. And the result is easy to tell, or to say. See, we went from a minus 17 million Danish kroner in EBITDA in 2009, and now we're making a nice profit of 96 million Danish kroner. And if I'm to translate 96 million Danish kroner to something that we all understand, it's probably going to be something like 15 million US dollars. So we went from 3 million US dollars of minus in 2009, and we are now doing 15 million US dollars of the good money, positive plus in the bank money, and that's about 20% of our revenue. So we have taken the first step of our journey, and we are starting now to find out where should we expand outside the markets we are on right now. And I'm also proud to say that the company as such might not be secured for 237 years more, but it's our ambition to become 237 years older. But it's at least secured for the next many, many years, because the platform we're on right now is much, much more healthy than we have been on in the past. That was about what I was going to say.